Okay, good.
Hello, I think we're live. Hello, hello. Um, if anybody is having problem, I'm gonna go for this first minute. I'm just gonna check for my phone and make sure there's no one out there orphaned. Uh, let's see. No, no messages. Okay. So welcome to this space. This is um, a recurring pop-up. It's a live pop-up. I originally started an Instagram live, and any of you Instagrammies out there know that they have changed so much. So and
The overlord has taken control of the Instagrams.
exactly. And so I was not I tried to make a code so that I could make this on live Instagram as well as Facebook and YouTube. Could not do it. They have created a lot of new barriers. So we'll conquer Instagram at some point. But for all of you on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter, I welcome you today. I welcome to this space Patricia Berry of Patricia Berry Consulting, also known as the Salty Fundraiser.
Because I am salty.
So the idea of this pop-up is called So That's My Business, and that is a nod to the illustrious Tabitha Brown. So if you don't know who she is, you need to look her up. Tabitha Brown was an actress. She still is an actress, but she was an actress and model of um of some note, right? But because of household and family obligations, including taking care of her mom for a number of years, she never got fully off. And so then one day while she was doing Uber, and if you've ever been in one place in your life and you have to kind of go back, you know how embarrassing that can be. But she had just done this thing. I'm going to go live every day. And so she tried this new sandwich from Whole Foods, and she enjoyed it so much. She gave it a name because she names everything, to call it the TTLA. And so at that point, um, she had millions of views by the end of the day, and Whole Foods made her a spokesperson. And then she became a spokesperson for vegan food, and now she's doing cooking
Holy
shows, cooking
guacamole.
shows. I know. And so that's my business. And I grew up hearing versions of this phrase too, is a double entendre. One, it's like explaining, what do I do? Because most people ask me, oh, what do you do in your business? And it's hard to explain because I do different things for different clients, right? Um, but the other thing is this, so that's my business. Like, it's my business how I want to do it, right? You got your business, I
Oh,
got mine.
yeah. I love that about you're a wonderful and blessed part of my boss lady tribe. And I just loved this wonderful group of women that came together in my community to teach me how to be a boss. And you were definitely one of those people. And it was kind of like, just do it. Like, everybody's going to have
Because
an opinion about it. You might as well just do it the way you like it.
I used to 10 years ago, I was still wearing pantyhose and closed-toed shoes and pressing my hair out at night and burning my fingers. One time I had to put bangs because I burnt my forehead to go in a setting every week, sometimes several times a week at these stuffy little networking sessions. I got maybe 3 clients over the course of 8 years.
Yeah. I
And
wear
then
tattoos now as an old lady, out and proud. I got a new tattoo yesterday, and I recognize people are going to fall off. I'm in fundraising as a conservative business, and I don't care. I want to make room for the people that would really dig the fact that I'm an old lady that shows up with way too many tattoos and probably my hair is all askew. And yeah,
yeah, and
that's
I
my
love
business.
that. I love that about you. And so I first met Patricia at a back, well, I think I saw her at some point, like around town, but I officially first met her at a backyard shindig of another
Beloved Jen
author.
Eastridge.
Yes, Jen Eastridge, right. Of the Unicorn Feed Supply and Stone and Spoon
Mhm.
downtown Ipsy. So a
Mhm.
little nod to her. So today's topic is LinkedIn for people who are not looking for jobs. So uh I with people like Patricia, although there's no one like her really, but clients that I have that are kind of they're selling themselves in a way, or at
Uh-huh.
least a part of themselves, their business and who they are so inextricably linked that you can't do one without the other. I often encourage them to have a healthy LinkedIn presence. And um when I say that, I have been cussed at.
Really?
Oh
By
yeah,
your clients?
yes. I don't use LinkedIn. That's
Mm.
that's BS.
Some of the most interesting stuff in social media right now and social justice is happening on LinkedIn, and if you're not listening, you're not getting the full expansion of the next revolution. Like,
Right.
I'm a big believer in it.
I've been a big believer for 15 years. I was one of the beta users for LinkedIn,
Oh, wow.
which brings to mind why.
OG.
This is great. Our talk about LinkedIn is making me like think about, okay, I need to drink my own water
Yeah.
and up my own, because it's, you see it so often. You're like, I'm not who that person was. But so I have to start with, uh I wanted to look at a few favorites of people,
Uh-huh.
because often when I used to teach LinkedIn for graduating students or people looking for jobs, one of the things that would happen is they had unkempt LinkedIns. So they had just said yes to everybody, or they had said no. They didn't even check the messages. And either way, it's like weeds and it just grows and you don't know who these people are.
Yep.
And so you have to do a little bit of work if you want your garden to grow on LinkedIn.
And that is a true statement. Yeah.
So I'm going to have her first share a little bit about her favorite people on LinkedIn. But before I do, I want to share with you some of her bio, because I don't do bios for everybody, but her bio is so good. Patricia has worked as a professional in all aspects of nonprofit fundraising for more than 17 years. And I think it's probably 18.
No, we're getting on to 2025. Like, I try not
Oh,
to out myself as being that old.
I do that sometimes. I'm like,
I
oh,
think
tell me about
17 is probably a number I need to update, but like we're getting on to the 20s.
it. Right. So may seem fun, and she is fun and free spirited, but she also does the work. She has been at the helm of $1 million projects across the
Billion-dollar
nation.
projects.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
I've never seen $1 billion.
I don't even understand $1 billion, but it's just money. I don't know.
Okay, so it says here that she loves creating resilient, long vision programs that provide deep and significant connections for every member of the giving cycle. So that includes the staff at the nonprofit,
Mhm.
donors, recipients, and communities. She has held leadership positions on two multi-billion-dollar campaigns. So see if I had read it closely. At Columbia University and the University of Michigan, as well as small organizations working hard on achieving their first $1 million fundraising year. Whether she is the director of development, creating a multi-million-dollar campaign for faculty and staff, or leading a donor relations team in a complex, decentralized environment, her focus is always on deepening relationships, measuring success, encouraging mission driven decision making, and creating the kind of program that can stand the test of time.
That's a pretty good bio. Did you write that for me?
I did not. I just it clipped it from a longer one that because so since she's my client, I have access
That's
to
a
all
nice
your
edit.
bios.
That's a nice edit. Save that. I sound
Okay.
fancy.
And so I will say that she's that that was what I aspired to do before. So I became a mentee of hers through her soul collage experience. And that really helped me hone in on, okay, what are my core values, and they can permeate across the different micro enterprises or businesses or coalitions that I may be a part of. It's one centralized. And that is the beauty of LinkedIn. It does, if you go on Facebook, you really need to be in your head about what am I trying to achieve on Facebook? What am I trying to achieve on Instagram? One, because you can't make it without ads and all that. Twitter, you kind of like you have your little narrow scope that you have to get it together. But LinkedIn is different. Like they really do, it's a room for you to be embraced at the whole person level, which
Mhm.
is not
If you're
always the
willing to
case.
brave it.
If
There's a lot of people that are still out there going, "Congratulate me on my new position." But there's also a whole ton of people that are out there like, "We're gonna smash the patriarchy. Here's how we do it." Um, and then there's a fight going on LinkedIn, which is amazing. I love being a part of it.
tell us tell us about the fight. I love
Well, so here I want to just say two things. So I love working with Leslie, and you've really helped me kind of hone how I tell people what I do, because I've been raising money for, I think we've decided, like more than 25 years, somewhere in there. But I really have no interest in raising money. And truthfully, I don't have any interest in capitalism. And that makes it a really hard client for a marketing person to deal with, because you and I have these wonderful conversations about what exactly are you doing here. So, my interest is community, and part of what I do with the soul collage practice is you can't raise $1 million or $1 billion or even truthfully $100 until you can envision yourself as somebody who does that. And that whole idea, soul collage is a practice of pulling out your intuitive knowledge, and then making it manifest, and then beginning to kind of speak into it, right? So, I can't be an entrepreneur. I can't be a successful entrepreneur until I believe that I am. Everything else is just me, talking a lot of hot air. So that's, the practice that I'm doing. And what I'm really interested in is how communities work. And I've always been interested in that. And the fastest way to screw up a community or to solidify a community is the exchange of wealth. So I'm playing in capitalism, but I'm probably a little annoyed by capitalism on a regular basis. And that's what poor Leslie has to deal with on a daily basis for me. So what I did during the pandemic was kind of think about LinkedIn a little bit more, because I am not a particularly savvy social media person. And again, Leslie knows this from working with me. Like, how do I explain myself on social media? I'm more interested in kind of like listening, learning, and co-promoting things or promoting things that are going on. And I'm not particularly good at thinking about my own brand first. So when I develop my core values of me as a person, as me as an individual, one of those core values is learning. And so that's what I did on LinkedIn. I realized that my entire feed of LinkedIn was populated by other fundraisers who were just out there buffing a resume. And God love us, we're all just trying to, get a job out there in the world. But, I was really tired of the, hey, congratulate me for, leaving X foundation and going to Y foundation. And, this is wonderful. And so I started with a lot of my work in fundraising over the last 10 years has been focused on me learning how to decenter whiteness and unhelpful power dynamics from me, from my practice, and from how I'm thinking about raising money. And the great thing that I've discovered is it's possible to not only raise money, it's possible to raise more money when you decenter whiteness from traditional philanthropy. So I started on LinkedIn by looking at things that I love out in the world. So one of the places that I follow is Nonprofit Quarterly. Nonprofit Quarterly is about fundraising, but it's really much more about social justice and the exchange of wealth. So starting to recurate my feed by following them, seeing who's commenting on their stuff, and then beginning to engage with those people, and then liking and following people, and then really listening. And then over the course of about a year, I had totally recurated my LinkedIn feed with people who are often working in the DE&I space, the diversity, equity, inclusion space, and are using LinkedIn as a really fascinating poke at professionalism and how white centered all these concepts that we have of professionalism are. You know, taking it to the house, right? Like they are going, this was created, LinkedIn was created by a white guy for white guys doing things in white guy suits who occasionally let white ladies in if they were suited and booted well enough. And then all of a sudden, there's this new explosion about, well, what does that mean? You know, like, what is professionalism? You know, professional hair, professional clothes. Like, can I have tattoos? Can I be exactly who I am? Can I be LGBTQIA loud and proud on my LinkedIn and still maintain my job? And what does that mean when I'm talking about things like this on LinkedIn and then having repercussions in the professional sphere that allows me to, you know, maintain my economic viability? You know, essentially, we all got to make bank, right? So doing that, like I've definitely come into it as a learner. I've posted stuff on my space, and this month is the first month that I've kind of put my head up as somebody who's has a little bit that I want to do work wise on LinkedIn. And is it okay if I talk about that now?
Yeah, yeah. I want
Yeah.
to, before you say that, I want to just um name that this has been a year's worth of work
Oh
before
yeah.
she
Year and a
really,
half.
yeah, yeah. It takes that long because you're making real connections, and you're making a real space that you can grow and have a better chance of finding followers, and
Mm-hmm.
finding people that are going your message will resonate with on LinkedIn. That included some days, she might not have liked me because I'm like, we need more people on the page, you know. Like it feels like you're spamming people, like my page, inviting people to your company page, whatever. So a lot of like that boring stuff, and going through the groups and reading through post after post, and it's a lot of boring stuff that happens before the live.
So could I just reframe the boring?
Okay,
It's
yes.
about listening and learning,
Yes.
which was it was a lesson that I needed, right? So certainly we've done some stuff to build audience on the LinkedIn page because one of the reasons that I could do the LinkedIn Live is we had so many followers on the business page, and that's all due to you. Like you promoted and worked essentially the LinkedIn algorithm to get us enough followers on the professional page that we hit the threshold that LinkedIn allows for you to do a live stream. You know, so there's stuff that you have to do before you can really be a content contributor. And you did that kind of against kicking and screaming my little self back here, just going, I don't want to do that. So I got to give it up to you. Like, because we built that following on the page, which I was a little bit like, whatever, like, we have been taken more seriously by LinkedIn to do some conversations around hard topics that have gotten other people either banned or stuff taken down. But because we have a solid following, LinkedIn gives us a bigger benefit of the doubt.
That's a great way to put it. Tell us about your project.
My beloved friend Jessica Lita, who is a free range social justice human out here in the world, and one of the people that I'm just really lucky to be both friends with, as well as she's a wonderful source of things that she exposes me to and education that we make possible. We saw a call to action from 2 authors on LinkedIn, and these are 2 people that I really recommend that you follow, particularly if you're a white woman trying to unlearn your own racism. One is Saira Rao, sorry, and the other one is Regina Jackson, and they're from a company called Race to numeral 2 Dinner, so racetodinner.com. And they wrote a book called White Women, How to Recognize Your Own, and I'm going to screw up the title of this. Hold on a second. Mm-hmm. So they wrote a book called White Women, Everything That You Already Know About Your Own Racism and How to Do Better. Mm-hmm. And so Jessica Lita and I were reading this and looking at Saira Rao's posts and Regina Jackson's posts, and some of the real, like, I got to hand it to them. Like, they both in really positive interaction with people, but also a huge amount of vitriol comes at them from all sorts of people about, this is racist, this is sexist, this is, why do you have to be so loud? Why do you have to be so mean? I mean, they're really carrying the water for this work. And so Jessica Lita and I felt like, well, this is white women talking to white women. This is our work too. So we created a reading series, which we're doing. We go once a week, we go live. This week on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you look at my Facebook page, you'll see a live stream for us talking about the first chapter as well as the preface of the book. And you're welcome to read along. I hope you do, because it's definitely worth it. But also, too, just join the conversation, because that is a big part of the work as well. And we've had some wonderful conversations. We've had some difficult conversations. We got Jessica Lita got something taken down on Instagram because somebody marked it as sexist and racist.
I'm always in trouble on Facebook and Instagram, always.
Well, and I recognize my privilege as a white lady with a lot of followers and a pretty solid resume on LinkedIn, that I get a pass on a lot of things that BIPOC or LGBTQIA partners are doing, that they get taken down or they get reported or they get called out. Like, one of the reasons that we decided to do this is we recognize that there's a lot of work going on LinkedIn around anti-racism work, and it's rarely the white ladies that are doing it. So one of the reasons that we felt like it was important is that we needed to call together other people, other white women who wanted to do this work, into a really, sometimes it's a tender conversation, sometimes it's a hard conversation. We're not interested in having it be an easy conversation. We're all going to learn something here, both about ourselves and our work. So that, recurating my feed, spending that year and a half recurating my feed, as well as working with you, Leslie, to build up my reader base, is one of the reasons that this is possible now. That LinkedIn's going to let us do it on a fairly controversial topic that a lot of people are really energized around. And, that's, to me, that's not about promoting my business. It's about me doing good work that I really believe in, and hard work that I really believe in, and supporting people who, for the last year and a half, and certainly all my life, have been providing me education and opportunities to expand my mind. Like, particularly a BIPOC community of women has been carrying the water on that for a long time. So that's my spiel on that.
Well, thank you. I put the link in here. It's an ugly link. It translated into an ugly link, but
you can also just go to my page and you'll see
you can
it.
Just go to Facebook.
Every week we'll post a new LinkedIn Live event. We're not going to do them all at once. But yeah, so that's, it's been really enriching for me. I've been talking about what I've been learning and experiencing as I've recurated my LinkedIn feed, to the point that now it's my favorite. It was always my least. It was the place that my resume sat. and particularly when I worked at Columbia, everybody thought I was a little smarter than I actually was. And they always wanted to connect with me because I was like, you're from Columbia. That seems really fancy. Yeah.
Okay, so we had Rita says please place link in the comments. I'll do that.
Okay.
So tell us about 5 or 3 or however many of your favorite LinkedIn folks that have done a good job that you can see the power on their page.
So I'm gonna just pick a couple, but I'll have to say there's 100 probably that I really follow. That I'm watching their comments. I'm watching them comment on other things. I'm having a tremendous. What was that?
Just show them a little shoulder. Don't go. You don't have to.
Don't go all the way in. So this is not in any way a comprehensive list, but it's a place to start. So if you had interest in kind of finding the radicalized element of LinkedIn, essentially anybody with DE&I in the title, take a look at them. I will not say that all of the DE&I in their title are radicalized people, but you can tell from their comments, is that somebody that you want to connect with? One of the people, and she just happens to have my name too, because I think she's pretty fancy, is Amal M. Berry, Berry. We are not related in any way. And she's the director of DE&I at the Ford Motor Company. And she's been an interesting person that I've been following and kind of thinking about what she's been commenting on and, really learning a lot. The one that I would probably put as like the number one person that I follow and I really, really deeply admire their willingness to engage in difficult conversations all across LinkedIn. And I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce their name, so I'm going to spell it. It's Yeong, and then the next word is Cheng. So I think it's Yeong Cheng.
Can you repeat that? Why?
Yeong, and then the next word is Cheng, Cheng, they, them.
Okay. I think that'll be
and this person, their title is White Translator. And I just love that because they are an Asian American human. And, they recognize that they're doing some white translation there. They also do exec and empowerment coaching from a DE&I foundation, but they're very delightfully and learning-oriented critical of DE&I practice, particularly how it's evolving right now that, kind of that energy of the Black Lives Matter movement has sunset a little bit. And people haven't really institutionalized DE&I in their budgets. And this person has been somebody who's been really marvelous for me to follow. And I watch their comments. I look at their reposts. Like it's something that is kind of a daily part of my learning profile is going out and listening to what they're doing. Another person.
I just wanted to, because sure. I don't want to get too political, but I always, because that is part of who I am. I will say that we also have to be careful and to uplift the people that are doing this work, because in some of our states, some of the funding or the articulation or agreements with businesses that have DEI are being stopped or threatened, including Florida, who has the governor in Florida has already said if there's DEI a component to a business, they're not going to be seen for government contracts.
Yeah. And this is stuff that Yeong calls out on a regular basis and like looks at promotion posts, right? So that kind of thing that you're used to in LinkedIn of I got a promotion, aren't I fancy? They will comment, oh, here's what this person thinks politically, and this is what's going to happen in that promotion.
Shut the front door.
It's a huge learning tool. in a really strange insider kind of thing. Like LinkedIn is where your professional network is, right? And how interesting to begin to poke at people's professional networks. Another person that I'd love to highlight is a person named Madison Butler, Butler, and her pronouns are she, her. She's a founder at Black Speakers Collection, and she also terms herself as the blue-haired unicorn. And she is an expert people person and a permanent Black woman speaking the truth. And she does not F around. So that's Madison Butler, the blue-haired unicorn on LinkedIn. So those are 3 people. And the way that I found these people is listening, right? So, I probably started with a few publications that I read in my personal life and realized that there's a whole network that they have. Oh, the other person I would love to mention too is actually the executive director of Nonprofit Quarterly. And that's Cindy Suarez, and it's Cyndi. And her last name is Suarez, Suarez, and her pronouns are she, her. She's another person who promotes stuff that then causes me to learn things. And business-wise, for me, I got out of the fundraising echo chamber. For years on LinkedIn, I was only in the fundraising echo chamber. And suddenly, exploding out of that. It's not Cindi, it's Cyndi, Suarez. That's okay.
Excuse me.
So those are just a few, but from them, if I feel connection or resonance with comments, and they're 9 times out of 10, like the people that I end up connecting with they should be paid for their labor. They do so much labor on LinkedIn. It is like having a reporter, on deck. And I do know that people like Young have a Patreon. If you like what I'm saying, if you learn something, throw some money at my Patreon, because that is how I am able to continue doing this stuff.
Okay. Thank you. I just put I'm trying to go through and put the links in this in the chat window here with us, that you can see, see along with our faces, but also putting it in the chat. In the comments on wherever it's posted. But I don't know if I can type that fast. So
okay. And truthfully, you should be, do some effort. You can get out there and find them. They're not, all of our audience, follow me, and anything I like, that's probably one of these 4 people that I have.
Yeah. So I got Madison Butler, Young Sean, Cindy Suarez, and what was the 4th person that I missed?
Amal Berry.
Oh, yes.
The DE&I person from Ford.
Yeah. From where?
Ford. I think it's the Ford Foundation, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Want to make
Ford Motor Company. Sorry, it's not Ford Foundation. It's the Ford Motor Company. And I do believe that she's first woman and the first person of color to hold that position, if I remember correctly. And it's a fairly new position. Ford's not necessarily really known for D&I budget line. Bless them.
Okay. Oh, I see her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not just the last name. She's actually got some interesting things to say. I'm like, we're all cousins, right?
I know. Well, so when I really like somebody, I call them a cousin more than a friend.
I think that's more your ability than mine. Nobody wants me calling him cousin.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up here soon.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure that I'm seeing if anybody else posted. Just a couple people have been saying thank you.
The nature of work is changing. The nature of capitalism is changing. And I just have found this conversation fascinating, because LinkedIn is one of the places that's getting poked at. like literally at, you know, the white dude's dinner table.
So then there's this other part. Even though we're supposed to talk about people that are not looking for jobs, I also will say that one of the reasons I'm a LinkedIn believer is because I have received jobs from LinkedIn. I've had
I do fundraising
opportunities.
on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
People
Hmm.
that would not respond cold to an email from me will respond cold to an email from me on LinkedIn because they see my bona fides.
They see your bona fides, they see who you're connected to. And then also, you know, sometimes, especially if you haven't been working your LinkedIn, it could be like a bunch of zombies. And so when you get like a well-crafted message, you're like, oh, it's a real person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you know the ones where everybody's like, oh, happy work
At
anniversary.
your website and I see that you are underperforming. You don't know me, but would you like to spend $10,000 a month on having me
Yeah,
help you? I'm like,
right,
you
exactly. So
you could have stopped talking at you don't know me.
I know that was enough. Exactly, that was
You've
enough.
said enough.
But it also keeps the door open.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, every year I upload a new resume and I make it available to recruiters. Um, you know, I like my business, but I'm not against if somebody wants to pay me good money for an interesting job. Like, you know, even when I did like the University of Michigan stuff, I always took a shorter appointment so I could still keep my clients. And then, you know, learned a lot by going back into an institution and doing some work. So,
mhm.
and I do get consulting reach outs cold because people have
Yeah,
searched me.
yeah. Um, so I'm not a singer, but there's a song I really like. I'ma leave the door open. That's what I want you to think about with LinkedIn. So there are door openers and door shutters on LinkedIn. Old school when they used to call it cats and lions. So some people tinker around LinkedIn like cats. Like
Hmm.
they want to feel warm and fuzzy about everybody that they're linked to and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be this little protected space, and other people are like lions, and those are people who are like randomly sending out things, um, messages to everyone. And so I always hated that was, in the professional space, that was you had to be a cat or a lion. And now we're seeing just this new in the middle, like I don't need you to be warm and fuzzy about me, and I don't need to friend everybody.
Yeah.
As long as we have some shared community,
Uh-huh.
we have some shared ideals and values, we can hang out on LinkedIn. And know it with also just a note, knowing that when we come into this space, we are not going to agree with everyone.
And I don't need to. I mean, that is a level of comfort that I'm not interested in. We're going to have a conversation. You know, if you step over a boundary and you behave like really, you will be booted.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I'm also really clear, like when people want to connect with me, if you haven't even looked at my profile and I don't know you and it didn't come with a personal note, I never say yes to that.
mhm.
And when I connect personally with somebody, I look at their profile. Do I like what you're about? Do you seem resonant? And do I have a reason to connect with you?
See, you have standards.
Well, and what I'll do is like I go to these great workshops, you know, through a lot of places in both social justice and fundraising and stuff. I connect with you. I go and I write you a personal note. Even if I didn't necessarily meet you, I know that you went to this meeting, workshop, whatever. There's a really good chance that we resonate the same.
Mhm,
I look at your profile, I write you a personal note, I send it off. And I certainly don't always get 100% return because some people think that I'm just selling them fundraising consulting.
mhm,
But a lot of them, I will get a personal response. And that's what I want. Like, I want a community of conversation, not necessarily just for my business. My business is certainly a part of it, but it's because I want to find resonant people. And when Jessica Lita and I did this workshop, I noticed a little drop and people got off my friend list,
That's
which
great.
I'm like, perfect. That
Yeah.
is great if you're going to be all sensitive Sally about having some hard conversations about race, you're probably not going to like my flavor anyway.
Right.
So, and that to me just opens up space for people who are going to resonate with me. So it's a constant, like, as long as you're not a jerk, you can even be a Republican, you know? How's that for a litmus?
Oh boy.
Apologies.
Well,
Les
see,
is like,
you guys,
I didn't want to get into that.
I am the thoughts that Patricia Berry has shared are those of her own. Just wait, no, I'm just kidding.
Hey.
So in closing, I think we both just want to leave you with look at your LinkedIn. It can feel overwhelming because it's always like, oh, you need to be on here, you need to be on there.
No. I now go out there because I want to go out there. I used to only go out there because I felt like I had to go out there.
Yeah. Once you get it spruced up, and that's for any social media though. Once you get it spruced up, you'll find yourself kind of like, oh, I wonder what my people are doing. Like
something interesting always pops up, whether it's a fight or a statement or a shared article or whatever. Like, I'm here for all of it.
Yeah. My Instagram is like, even if I don't feel like posting, it's just a wonderful place because it's poetry and activists and it's just perfect. Yeah, so that's what I would encourage you. And also Instagram and Instagram has made it public, but other social media are starting to lean towards more AI analytics. And without going into a long spiel, I will say that we have to be more content focused. So it was a time where you could plug things in with keywords and tags and categories, and you were, if you had that, you were home free. And once Google shifted about 7 years ago, not everybody started to follow behind, but it was still like it was the best thing going. Now that we have AI analytics, there's a little bit more look at what you're saying. So start, if you are just getting back to your LinkedIn or it's in part, start with your profile. Make sure your profile is saying, enough.
And no catfish pictures.
Yes.
Put a real picture out there from this decade.
Please. Yes. 5 to 8 years is a good standard. So yeah, 5 to 8 years. In fact, I looked at a picture, I was like, it's 8 years ago. And I was like, ooh, I had a few more French fries since then. I think I might change it. So yeah, just go.
Beautiful and fluffy.
So yeah, so just go ahead and start with yourself, looking at, what you have. What are you showing everybody? If you're not getting a good feed, that's called a feed, everything that you see from other people's posts, it might be that you just need to curate it and sculpt who you want to be seen in your feed.
And can I just say one thing about being fearless?
Yes.
So one thing I noticed about LinkedIn, both my behavior as well as behavior that was really boring me about LinkedIn, is that people were very fearful about what they were posting out there, and they were listening to, usually it's white dudes with ties, giving you a little feedback about this isn't your Facebook page. I'm not telling you to go post a picture of what you had for breakfast, but you're allowed. The things that have gotten the most love from my network is when I've posted something just a little bit tender. I took a trip after a long COVID experience and posted about it and posted, like, it's okay to be yourself because the people who are criticizing you are not your people. And B, you're allowed to be human at work. I mean, I think that's the core of what this whole other world of LinkedIn that I'm starting to discover is really into. You are allowed to be a human who works. You are not just a worker, and so be a little bit less fearful. And I think your network will thank you for it, and you will find your people.
All right. Be fearless. All right. We're going to go ahead and sign off. And I appreciate you guys for coming out. So the next So That's My Business will be, I don't know, it'll be soon.
Okay.
So yeah. And in
This
the
was a
meantime,
pleasure, Leslie. Thank you.
oh, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. All right. See you all later.